Well, in this Advent season, which is the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas, we've been doing a series out of the book of Habakkuk, which, as far as I'm aware, is nobody's favorite book. I've never asked anyone, what's your favorite book of the Bible? And they said Habakkuk. Literally never. But, so you're like, why are we doing it then? Because it's a really meaningful book. There's so much powerful stuff going on in Habakkuk that really relates to the season of Advent. If you don't know this, and if you weren't raised in church, there's no reason you would know this. Or sometimes if you've been raised in church like the Vineyard, we tend to not do as many liturgical church history things. You maybe have never heard this before, but the season of Advent literally means arrival. And the church, over 2,000 years, has chosen to take the 4 weeks, roughly, there's some debate over church history how long, but let's say 4 weeks up to Christmas to focus on the arrival of Jesus. So, arrival. And Advent, historically, is marked by a period of waiting, paying attention to what it means to wait, and also, strangely enough, thinking about darkness. What does it mean to be in the dark and to be looking for light? So those are two key themes that run throughout 2,000 years of church history of waiting for an arrival and then darkness and light. And if you've been in this series, you would know that in the weeks up to this, we've done a couple weeks in Habakkuk. Habakkuk is marked by a prophet. What do you think his name is? It's Habakkuk, that's right. So his name is Habakkuk. Some of you are like, this is a trick. His name is Habakkuk. And this prophet, this one bit of the Bible is really interesting because prophets are usually hearing from God and challenging the people throughout the scriptures. Habakkuk's really interesting because Habakkuk doesn't challenge the people. Habakkuk is talking directly to God. And the entire book is Habakkuk talking to God about what he's frustrated about how things aren't going the way that he thinks it's supposed to go, how things aren't lining up with the way that he knows God to be, that the world is not how it should be. And specifically, he's talking about how the enemies of God are surrounding the nation, and he can tell. First of all, we're not doing very well. And second, it's about to get a lot worse. And the book is a series of dialogues that he's having with God. And a lot of the theme of Habakkuk is about waiting. Why am I having to wait? If you were here over the last 2 weeks, he has this prayer, this cry that is, how long, O Lord? How long, O Lord, must we wait? How long, O Lord? Have you ever wondered, how long, O Lord? How long, O Lord? How long am I going to have to wait? And I've said this in the other week, so I just want to say it again now just to make sure you remember this. This is one of the main things I love about the Bible, is that the Bible describes our real lives. If you've never read the Bible before, if you didn't grow up in church, often people would assume the Bible is like a book that's full of like commands and stuff you're supposed to do and not do. Or you would think that the Bible is like full of like cheery Hallmark sayings. And people are often shocked when they read the Bible to realize how dark it is, how much misery people are living through, that strangely, to have a life with God throughout the scriptures is usually a life of suffering. But what's interesting about that is it defines the way that people really do experience life. That what it is to enter into a life with God is not to be sort of transported out of our real lives, but to invite God into our real lives. That God steps into the mess with us. That God comes into the middle of what doesn't make sense and what's painful, and he meets us there. In other words, that God gives us peace in the midst of chaos and hope when there seems that there is no hope. And so when we read the Bible and we talk about what it is to have a life with Jesus, we're not talking about some otherworldly experience. We're talking about what it means for God to enter into the world as it really is. And I don't know about you, but for me, that brings real hope, true hope, hope that really works, that really has kind of street value in the way that I live my real life. Because I imagine if somehow I could scan this room and I could somehow scan and see inside of your mind and inside of your heart, every person in this room is dealing with something that doesn't make sense to you. That's hard. That isn't the way that it should be. And if it's not in you, it's definitely in someone near you. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, that if by some miracle you're doing just really, really well, there's somebody next to you that's not. Right? I mean, you never escape some of the misery of the world. Maybe when you're at an all-inclusive resort and you put your phone on airplane mode. You know, you're just like, I'm not even going to look at what's going on out there. I'm going to live. So you can kind of construct the world in a way. But even in an all-inclusive resort, things go wrong. You know, the food comes too slow. You stub your toe walking into the pool. There is, even when you construct your life to where I'm going to make it so that the real world cannot get near me, it still does. The world is broken. Things are not as they should be. And we find that the Bible reflects that back to us. And I think that should give us great comfort because it helps us understand exactly what is being offered, what the terms of the deal are in a life with God. The terms of the deal are not that somehow everything magically is different, but that God will be with you in the midst of what's broken. This is important. And sadly, there might even be some of you right now that you've been following Jesus your whole life. And you're like, wait a minute, I didn't know those were the terms of the deal. Sorry, you already signed. But for, I'm just kidding. But for some of you, I'm sort of kidding. There's some of you, you're here and you're considering a life with God. And I want you to know the terms up front. The terms are that when you come to Jesus, specifically in Christmas, you come to a God who entered into the story. That is what we celebrate. In the darkness, a great light now appears. In the place where there is no hope, suddenly hope is present. But even as that hope appears, it's still pretty messy. And so, what we'll look at today in Habakkuk chapter 2, which is Habakkuk continuing his complaint, we see that Habakkuk, and specifically God speaking to Habakkuk, makes an argument about how we should wait. In other words, we need a little bit of training on how to wait. What does it mean to be a good waiter? I don't mean serving food. Habakkuk 2:1. I will stand at my watch and station myself on the ramparts. I will look to see what he will say to me and what answer I am to give to this complaint. Then the Lord replied, this is verse 2, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks to the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. And then I'll read a little bit more. My poor slides, people, if you can keep up. It's down a little bit further. I'll read 4 and 5. And then God turns and says, see, the enemy is puffed up. His desires are not upright. But the righteous person will live by his faithfulness. Indeed, wine betrays him. He is arrogant and never at rest, because he is as greedy as the grave, and like death is never satisfied. He gathers to himself all the nations and takes captive all the people. God says some things back to Habakkuk that feel a little confusing in our minds. He says, hurry up and write this down. Okay, he's got his pen out, ready. Here's what you're going to write down. I'm not going to answer you. I'm not, what? Yeah, make sure you write it down and send a herald to tell everyone, I'm not answering you. Oh, okay. But I will answer you. And when I do answer you, it will be true, it will be right, and the key command I give you is to wait. Wait patiently, and when I do what I'm going to do, it's important that you pay attention in that moment. But that moment is not today. And let me then tell you about the people who are the kind of people that don't wait. The people that don't wait, the people that try to take their life into their own hands, they seek after pleasure. He literally says they get drunk a lot. They're trying to manage their own emotions and their own lack of patience with drinking a lot. They tend to be really busy. If you didn't catch that, he says, here's what you can tell about these kinds of people. They're never at rest. They're greedy. They're trying to get everything they can instead of just waiting, pausing, stopping. And then because they're never at rest, they're drinking, they're busy, and then they're also going to try to harm other people to get what they think they deserve. Not so with you, Habakkuk. What you're going to do, and you're going to tell everybody to do, is hold, wait. Now, this kind of waiting is a particular kind of waiting. I don't know how you do with waiting. The word that we might use from the scriptures, there's a series of different words that are used in the Bible to describe this, which is patience. Like how much patience you have. There's not a lot in U.S. culture that trains people to be patient. Pretty much everything that we do in U.S. culture is to get things to hurry up and get you what you want more quickly. But patience is a virtue. But patience, there's different kinds of waiting. And this is basically what God is making a case for here. I don't know where you feel the least patient or where you feel the most frustrated that you have to wait. For me, it's very, very clear. And part of it's because I travel a decent amount. It is the airport. I hate the airport because the entire time I find myself thinking, there's got to be a better way to do this. This is like the whole time. Because here's what the airport is. The airport is hurry up and wait. Let me tell you how it works. Has anyone ever felt prepared to go to the airport? Ever? Never. You're always a little behind. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you packed everything. There's going to be traffic. You're going to forget something and have to run around and do it. Your kids can't find their shoes. Something goes wrong every time you go to the airport. So now you're hurrying. Then you get there, and then what do? You wait, especially if you check in your bags. So then you wait in line, and you're just standing there. And then you hurry to get to security because you got to beat some people, and then what do? You wait. And then, I don't know what it is, but when you get right, you finally get to the security thing, it's so frantic. You're ripping off your belts, you're throwing things and stuff, you're just, it's like you're wait, go, wait. And now you're waiting again. And then you get through. And I know you might find this hard to believe, but I'm randomly selected more than most. I don't know why. It's a mystery, really. So that feels a little frantic. And then you gather up your stuff, in front of all these people. You're like, clothing yourself again, effectively. And then what do? You rush to wait some more at the gate. And then it's like, hurry up, get in line. we're calling zone 3 and you're trying to figure out how to like sneak in or whatever. And then you're like, I hope I can get my bag in. It's frantic again. And you're like, oh, now I got to check my bag. Has anyone ever had to do that walk of shame from the back of the plane with your bag? It's the worst. Everybody's looking at you like, this poor sap. Did they not know what the luggage rack was? No, how would I know that? I'm not studying planes. And then you got to put your bag, and then you wait. And then it's time to go. Anybody, you remember, when you land, it's like, bing. It's like, everyone's like, yeah. It's like, we go. And I don't know about you, but I'm organizing everything in my mind. Like, you got to get that bag. We're going to jump in front of that lady. And somebody tries to come from the back. If that's you, I need you to hear me. I hate you. I hate you. It's deep inside of me. I hate you. I feel a kind of hate that I experience almost nowhere else in life. What do you think we're all doing up here? That you're just going to come flying up the middle from the back? What do you think I'm doing? Do you think I don't want to get off the plane? I just needed to get that off my chest. So now we're hurrying again, and then what do? You wait. You know the worst waiting time of the entire flight is if you're waiting for bags. It's the worst. Hurry, wait, hurry, wait, hurry, wait. I'm already here. I just want to go. And then you usually have to wait for whatever, someone to pick you up, or some of you remember when we didn't have cell phones, like 8 of you. And when you were at an airport without a cell phone, it was a complete mystery. Like you would just walk out there and be like, who knows? I mean, like, they might be here, they might not be here. If I have to call, I'm going to call their home. They're at the airport. What are our options at this point? And it was a complete mystery. Like, and then there used to be courtesy phones, like, Jay Pathak, go to the white courtesy phone because someone just got tired of waiting, or they went home and then they called you back at the airport, and then you have to wait some more. This is misery. And here, I'm going to tell you a really strange study. This is going to blow your mind. Sociologists have studied specifically how airports work. And they agree with me, for what it's worth. I read this long article about this. They agree with me that the worst time of waiting in an airport is when you wait for your luggage. It's the time that they get the most customer complaints. Because it's the time that they assume, if I could get my butt off the plane, walk my butt all the way here, surely with all your vehicles and stuff, you could get my bag here within like a few minutes. I get it, you're a little behind, but you should be able to get it here in that time. And people lose their minds because their luggage isn't there. So do you know how airports have sought to solve this problem? Some of you might say, be better at getting my luggage? No. By the way, now that I tell you this, if you're in an airport, I'm going to hurt you. You're going to realize what I'm saying is true, and it's going to be hard on you. What different people have done that organize airports is this. They make the time to get to where your luggage is longer. If you pay attention to this, often what even airports will do is walk you in circles and up and down things so that it's a longer amount of time. When architects are building airports, it's easier to make your time walking longer than to get your bag there faster. And sociologists call it, I just hurt you. It's true though, this is what they do. And sociologists and different people who study this psychologically describe it as the difference between occupied waiting and unoccupied waiting. Unoccupied waiting is what creates anxiety. Unoccupied waiting, where you literally don't have anything else to do, is stressful. When you're just standing there staring at that little chute and you're willing your bag to come out of that hole in your mind, that's stressful. But if I can just make your walk longer, I'll like literally walk you in circles and up things and down things. You don't feel stressed at all because it's occupied. Occupied waiting is not as stressful as unoccupied waiting. This is what I want you to hear, and this is really, really important. When the Bible talks about waiting, it's nearly always talking about occupied waiting. That you intentionally do things while you wait. Habakkuk says very clearly, I stand and I watch. It's focused waiting. I'm paying attention to see what God does. Throughout the scriptures, we're commanded to, and this is important to talk about in Advent, to be watching and waiting and hoping for the arrival of Jesus. That's occupied waiting. That's turning your heart toward God and looking and waiting. But also throughout the scriptures, occupied waiting involves discipline. Like doing things while you wait. So you're the kind of person that when the moment comes, the right moment comes, you're the kind of person that can respond. This is something that athletes understand. Musicians understand. They fill the in-between time with certain kinds of training that enable them to show up in the exact right moment and do the exact right thing, right? I mean, if you pay attention to the amount of time an athlete trains versus the amount of time an athlete actually performs, what do you think it is? 100 to 1? I mean, 1,000 to 1? It's a lot. The amount of time that you're thinking about your diet and exercise and stretching and sleeping and training and reading and preparing for for many of us, especially if you're playing a team sport, you have like 1 or 2 moments in a game that you spend thousands of hours preparing for. In a very real way, the Bible's form of waiting isn't all that different than an airport, in that the Bible has really strange sets of commands, which are wait, train as you wait, and then if you've read the Bible, all of a sudden God starts to do something, and then the challenge of God is now. Respond. Obey. Take action. The people of God are waiting and waiting and waiting, and suddenly Jesus is there, and they're like, I don't know. Oh, missed it. Missed it. You were waiting all this time, praying all this time, paying attention all this time. But you were supposed to be waiting in a particular way, where you were attentive, where you knew what was going on, so that when the moment arrived, when the moment came, you could act. That's how you were supposed to be waiting. You were supposed to be training for the moment that appears one day when suddenly he arrives. Suddenly he's among you. Suddenly he says, I need you to obey me right now. Listen, guys, you may or may not know this, but this is how your real life works with God. The vast majority of your life is occupied waiting. It's choosing to be people of prayer. It's choosing to be people who read and understand the scriptures. Here's where it gets crazier. It's choosing to not be busy. To not just keep your life frenetic. It's choosing to not seek empty pleasures that will not satisfy. See, those numb you. They numb you from the moment that you need to be most attentive. It's choosing to restrain yourself in relationships, to not try to just get what you want from other people. To some degree, we all live in a world where if everyone would just do what we want them to do, life would be great. That's called using people for your own ends and means. A life with God means we learn to be quiet. We learn to settle. Habakkuk 2:20 says this, the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth be silent before him. How do you know if you're the kind of person that knows how to wait? How well do you do being silent? Some of you are like, I do great being silent. I'm silent roughly 8 seconds, and then I fall asleep. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. That actually is a sign you're exhausted. I was just at my dentist recently, and I said, I read this study I want to run past you. This is how geeky I am. And my dentist, I said, I read a study that people are falling asleep getting root canals. And she said, that is 100% accurate. She goes, I've been doing this, 15, 20 years. People are more exhausted than ever. We give them a little Novocaine, they're laying quietly for a few seconds. We are literally drilling the nerves out of their head, and they are so tired that they fall asleep. Okay, that isn't the kind of sign. Some of you are like, I'm silent always when I'm sleeping. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the ability to be still, quiet, and receptive to the Lord. You have to train to do that. And at the risk of being too dramatic, let me say it this way. If you're always busy, you're probably missing more opportunities than you're aware of. Opportunities to bless your spouse, opportunities to be a great friend, opportunities to care for someone who's in need near you, opportunities to notice someone at work, opportunities to join the great drama of how God wants to work in and through your life. Occupied waiting prepares you for moments when you can be useful and join in something larger than yourself. There might even be some of you here this morning that you have to learn how to be quiet, steady, relax in such a way that even a day like today might be the day to just say yes to Jesus fully with your life. The reason a life with God might not be that attractive is because you're just too stinking full. You don't have an appetite for God because you've been numbing yourself with all kinds of other stupid things. And you know it, and I know it. But it isn't just people who are seeking a new life with God. It's people that already have a life with God. Brothers and sisters, can I just challenge you? In this Advent season, slow down. Consider the one who has come for you and look for opportunities. I mean, in the life of our church, for example, this building thing is an opportunity. What I've been amazed at is how many folks in the life of our church were saying, I have been saving money looking for a way to be generous. This is it. I'm so grateful. This is why we try not to have debt. This is why we save money, so we can be generous. Does that make sense? It's not just to manage your anxiety and invest in Bitcoin or something. Some of you are like, but I want to invest. I know, I'm just saying you live with a different kind of pace so that you can act when things are available to you. For some of you today, you just need to hear the stillness of God afresh. For others of you, maybe today's a day to say yes to Jesus. The Lord has brought you to a place of stillness. And before you start hurrying again, maybe you should act. Why don't we stand together?